Hello everybody, I'm Rusty. I want to welcome you to Island Breeze Tropicals. So today we're going to be taking a look at some plants that look like they might be bromeliads but really aren't. And we're going to call them Bromeliad Imposters. So you know what? The sun is shining, the island breeze is blowing. It's time that you and I got growing. Come on, let's have some fun and let's look at some Bromeliad Imposters. So there are a lot of plants that bear some resemblance to bromeliads, but they are not. And how do we tell the difference between them? Well, first off, what we're going to do is we're going to lump most bromeliads together as being tank type. I've shown you that before, but I'll show you again. But this, if you can get an idea for it in this low light, looks just like a bromeliad. Looks like a big cryptanthus, doesn't it? But it's not. This is an aloe. And the way that you tell an aloe from a bromeliad is the thickness of the leaves, and they have fleshy leaves. Here's a little better picture of one. Let me see if I can get in there and blow this up a little bit. Zoom in here. And maybe you can get an idea and a feel for the leaves. And if you can see that, you can see that these leaves are thick. So that makes this a succulent, and bromeliads are not succulents. Bromeliads don't store their water in the leaves like succulents do, and that's how succulents get over times of drought. So here's a really good shot, I think, because it shows you the difference right there. And we have a bromeliad. I believe that is Neoregelia Jill. I'm going to zoom in there. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, so you can see the central tank there. And yep, that makes that a bromeliad. Now let's move on down and take a look. Here is an aloe, and they're right next to each other, growing happily. And if you can get an idea, I'm going to try and bring this around, and maybe you can see the thickness of the leaves and the lack of a tank here on this aloe. So let me zoom in here and let me see if I can show you that this aloe, where very, very similar, does not have a central tank. And here you can see them together, and you can see there is a difference. So yep, aloe is most definitely a Bromeliad imposter. So again, we're lumping bromeliads together as tank type, and not all are, but the vast majority I would say are. And if you take a look, this is an Alcantara odorata, and that is the central tank, and that's how bromeliads that are tank type get over times of less water. They hold water and store it as a liquid in the cup. So here's another Bromeliad imposter, and this one gets to be really, really big. This is a juvenile specimen, and this is a pandanus. And pandanus does have the look almost of a skinny-leaved Alcantara, but no, it is a different type of plant entirely, even though it does look like it. So you can get an idea by looking down there. It does kind of look like a central tank, but you can see that that's really not like a bromeliad. But take a look. It does have, let's see if we can get a closer view of the leaves, and you can see, look, it's got spines on the leaves, but lots of different plants do. So here is one main difference that you can see, and this is the pandanus. And the pandanus has stilt roots. And as you can see, they're coming out of the trunk, and this pandanus will grow really, really big and have big stilt roots, but this is not a bromeliad, and bromeliads will not have this feature. So if you take a look down here, you can see that yes, it looks like it has a central tank, but no, you can see that there's no way for this plant to store water in a tank like a bromeliad does. So it looks similar, but it's not the same. Now here's one thing that does look similar though. Take a look. There are spines on the leaves, but that doesn't make this a bromeliad, does it? Now here is a plant that oftentimes gets confused for bromeliads. This is an agave. This is a succulent, which means that its leaves are fleshy, and that's how it gets over periods of not having water. And it looks very similar, kind of like an alcantaria does or an ichmea. It does have a silver color. As you can see, it does have some spikes on the ends of the leaves. See if we can look at those. So yeah, that looks like a bromeliad kind of, but look at those fleshy leaves. And it appears to have a rosette, and of course it is, but it does not have a tank that is formed by the leaves, so it does not store water in a central cup. Now here's a comparison, and when you take a look at the Alcantaria odorata that is on the left and the agave that is on the right, you can see the difference between the two. Yep, they're similar, but the agave, which is on the right, is definitely not a bromeliad. So yep, another imposter. So here's another example of an imposter. This is not a bromeliad, although I got to tell you, there are bromeliads that do pup off of their stolons, even really, really long stolons. These are stems, and you may be able to see all of the offsets on here. But here's a couple dead giveaways. That is a single fleshy root coming out of the bottom of that pup. And yeah, I think we could probably call those pups. But no bromeliad is going to have one single root come out of the pup. And another dead giveaway, a bromeliad will only have pups either coming out of the meristem or out of the stolon, and probably never both. So as you can see, this particular Bromeliad impostor is sending out new plants, not only off of the stolons, but right there near the base of the plant. So no suspense here. I know a lot of you have probably had this as a house plant, and this is called a spider plant, commonly grown. Looks a little bit like a bromeliad, but nope, not this time either. So I think, as you guys can see, there are a lot of plants that can bear some superficial resemblance to bromeliads, but are really imposters. Now, one thing I do want to stress, that there are bromeliads that have a look like this. And in general, what we are doing is comparing these Bromeliad imposters to the tank type bromeliads that we're all so familiar with. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed looking at plants that look like bromeliads that really aren't. So no matter where you are, I hope your sun is shining. I hope you have an island breeze blowing. I know that you need to keep growing, have lots of fun. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.